Hello, Mariann. And I want to interview you about lovability and spirituality and the religion. And if you first of all want to start to talk about the lovability on a higher level, how you define it and how you can see it.
Yes, actually, lovability, the ability to love in a higher degree is something to do with development. We all have our abilities on a certain level from childhood and from inheritance and for just be the person you are. And it can be higher or lower or whatever. And then if you want to develop your lovability and want to work with it, then it's then you need to go into a developing process where you work with your lovability. And the first step is to know your ability on its weakness and on its strength, and it's special to know your potential where you can develop. And the way you develop is a little bit like in the nature. You can only make small steps all the time, and like in the nature you nourish your ability like the plants. You give it a little water or a little sunshine and not too big pot and not too much light and not too much shadow. You know, every little plant needs a special care to grow the most and flourish the most. And that's the same with you as a person. It's very individual what you need and how your lovability is putting together inside you. So you need to be aware of that and go into a developing process where you're working with these things in the daily life as a practice, an awareness process where you do a little by little. And what is very important in that process is that you appreciate yourself for the small progress you are making. And you can get help from me as a psychologist or friends or partner or whatever, but it's important you make the decision you want to work with it, and then you make a constantly progress of working with it on a constant level. And in the beginning it's necessary to have somebody to keep you on the fire or keep you on the way, if you can say so, till you come into a habit about working with yourself. And normally if I have clients who's coming to me and want help with these things, then it's people who's really have trouble with this lovability and maybe not able to love themselves at all, and not able to go into a relationship at all. And so there we can see in that process that it's possible for them. So very sometimes it's a longer process because it's your core you're working with. It's a little bit like the fairy tale of the swan. They're coming from the ugly little bird, and then it's becoming a beautiful swan. You can see it in the attitude and everything, and then they're able to go into a relationship and able to dare to love again, and can see the positive in themselves too. So that's a really beautiful process to follow, to follow and be a part of. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like you have to know yourself before you can work with in other relationships. So
yes.
You have to work to love yourself at first, and then you can do it from the relationships you have.
I think it's always important to take responsibility about yourself and your own feelings, and instead of the normal way to be in a relationship is to project things over on the other person. And if you get aware of why do I project that, how he doesn't do this and this, and I'm really sad and he's really mad at him, then it's difficult. Then you come to power struggles, and that's what very often happens in the relationship. I'm working with that as a couple counselor too. But I think we are in a new phase in our relationships development on a bigger plan, if you can say so. We are not so able to go into the normal ways of relationship where we are two half-days one, like in the Chinese sign for Tao. Because we have developed the opposite sex quality very much. Women are, especially in the Western country, but I think all over the world actually, in a certain degree, women are getting more independent and want more to go out in the world and conquer the world, which is a very male quality. And men are becoming more vulnerable, more sensitive, and it's because these new qualities, the opposite sex, are starting to develop in us, and the start is very primitive. So women can be very aggressive and very small iron ladies and so on, and men can be very weak. No, you're not weak. No, they very feel sorry for themselves or getting very mad about small things or whatever. Then we must, be a little soft towards each other, and know, okay, the man must, okay, I know she's not the iron lady, she is the dragon, and behind the dragon there is the princess, yeah, and we must know as women that, we need to take a little care of the little boy there, that's very sensitive, and help him a little bit, So I think the relationship, instead of being together all the time and be one, we need to have a little more space, because now you're actually small units who's starting to develop the opposite sex. And there is more another kind of relationship where you first of all need to allow each other to be by yourself. But still you need to have time together to go into a symbiose, into being very near connected, but go out again. Before in the old kind of relationship, this was the way to be together. We want to be one, and we want to look like each other, and we are very much the same. But now it's more that you are different, and you can give different things to each other, and you stand for yourself and take responsibility for yourself and your own development, and then you can help each other, and you can go out and into the more being one, but first of all, you're friends, and stop fighting, because fighting is this projection. If people are coming to me in my practice, they say, if you can make her stop doing this, then everything works well. And she says the same, if you can stop him doing that, then we will be happy. Yeah. And then I said, no. Work with yourself first. That's the first
it's a lot
thing.
easier to project it on the other person.
Yeah. So actually, if you are going to work with your ability to love on a higher level, then you can go through this individual development process, as Carl Gustav Jung had been writing about the individuation process. And it's a process where you are, as an individual going through different steps of development. where you can develop your lovability on a higher extent. And there, the first 2 steps is to integrate your shadows on your own sex and your opposite sex. It means that if I get very, very angry at you and very upset, instead of go to you and say, why did you do this and why did you do that, I don't like you, then why did I get so angry? What was it that triggers me? That tricks me, and find out, oh, okay, I felt hurted or from whatever.
Yeah.
And then after working with it with myself and find out what is the core in me that makes it such a big reaction, because if there is a big reaction, you really know something to do with myself. And then you can go back and talk with each other. And if you so do the same and say, I felt this and this, then you can have a very good talk together where you don't go in defenses, but where you can be talking in a nice way, where you understand and try to explain from the inner you how you feel. So it's very important with this projection to know what is you and what is the others. And that's the first 2 steps. And the third step is when you have worked with that on a big extent, then you're going to integrate your more personal unconsciousness, as what you're not aware of. It's when you're in your dreams and what you're not aware of. And when you go into the unconsciousness, then actually it's where I can put a picture on that. It's like the sea. Everybody, there is the common unconsciousness, and then it's your personal unconsciousness. And the personal unconsciousness, it's your unconsciousness level. It's where you're not aware of, or maybe you're sleeping in that consciousness. And but when you go down and get in contact with this level, then it's very easily you can drown, because you're like a little drop in the sea, and it's very important for you to keep holding yourself. So it's a kind of pressure, and it's working. It's working every day. If you're going into this process where you go into a more common unconsciousness level, and there you meet the archetypes. And archetypes is what you see if you see music movies with witches and witch doctors and mother and archetypes. For example, I can tell you, in Denmark we have big festivals in the summertime, and especially we have a big festival called Roskilde. And that time people are really drinking and everything, and it's like the archetype is showing up there. It's like a little bit like the Norwegian coming into the heaven. You eat all you can. There's eating competitions and there's drinking competitions, and you just don't think. You just give yourself to the unconsciousness level, I think, and you even have a competition about who is going into bed with the most people. And it's really, and it's like it's a little space where it's allowed to just lose all everything and just do what you feel like. And then I think that actually it shows that that people are searching for some deeper things. For example, if men are going to be very sensitive, and then when they go into this more unconscious level, then they find the Viking, or they find in the unconsciousness archetypes who's just the opposite of what they are inside, and it helps them. And women can do the same, because sometimes they lose a little bit the contact with the female sides, and then they need to come in contact with the priestess, Aphrodite or whatever. So it's the third step on this road.
Okay, so you have to get through all these steps to develop this lovability both for yourself and for the persons near you and relationships.
It's in a big extent, but sometimes you can go forth and back, and then the next step again is that when you can meet this archetype and not get filled up with it, it's not take the power from you. So you think I'm Aphrodite or I am a Viking or whatever. Then you, and for that you need to be humble, and you need to be strong in your individual traits that you are you. And for example, as this little bubble in the sea, then you go to the next phase, and I don't think so many people have done it here on the earth actually. And then you are going to give birth to the child. There's God's child inside yourself. And it can be Jesus or Krishna or Muhammad or Buddha, whatever you believe in. And it's like, actually it's like you have these two, male and female, in a relationship, and they get a child, when they get it, you can call it inner marriage too. And then you have a contract with some higher vibration, because it's a little bit like a radio, this inner God's child. You can just put on the level, and then you just is with God. And after what Jung is saying, and our really good cosmology and philosophers, as I called him, Martinus, a Danish guy, they said that what is God is love, and love is in the universe, but we cannot, sense it because we don't have this antenna, or we're not on that level, or we have too much defenses, so we close it off. But everything in the universe is love. That's the universal ground tone. Yeah. And then when you have this inner child born, then you are a part of that. And then you have the lovability on the highest level. And you just want to give and help, and you have a contact with God, and you're just a tool for this God's love. And then you are more, that's the highest level.
So do you think this has something to do with the spirituality? If you see it in that, you talk about the higher level and you see everything as a love, and does it something to do with the spirituality, or could it put it together with that?
Yes, I think it's the most important thing. As for me, it is the most important thing, and the highest kind of spirituality you can practice in life is to develop your own ability to love yourself and love life and love others, and can develop your lower quality of love, where you want to own the other persons, or you want to take, I want to have, I want to give me, and then you, to go on a certain level where you want to give, and you want to be to do the best for everyone, to actually be a little bit like the sun. We have some good examples on the earth with Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha. It's like, big spirits that are guiding and inspiring the world. Yeah. But I think behind that God is God, and they're just an example of the development we are going to come someday. I don't think they only God's sons. Yes, they God's sons, but I think everybody is God's sons and daughters. And we are all on our way. Actually, I think we are all a part of God. On our way.
So this, you can be spiritual without thinking of a religion. You think it's some people you heard, they think if you talk about spirituality, they think it's a religion. And maybe some people get scared of this because I'm not religious. But do you think we can distinguish between these two?
It's a good question. I think as it is now, when we separate our daily life with spirituality or religion or whatever, but actually I think it's one. And I think it's a part of, for me, the part of developing my loveability and finding the answers that is right for me was to seek after the answers and find the answers. And that's I think is a spiritual process. One thing is to love and developing your loving abilities. But another thing is to seek. That's a more mental process. It's a feeling process too. But to find out what is the answer for me, and what has led me in that search is that people who have inspired me, and I feel this energy and warmth, and look at them as an example. How have they worked with what they speech themselves? Have they reach any result themselves? Are they a loving person themselves? And then go after what really inspires me. And then I think I found the answers for myself. But I think there's many roads to Rome. There's many roads to God. So you need to find your very specific way, especially if you cannot believe. I cannot believe anymore in God in the way you do it in Christianity, Buddhism or whatever. I need to find my own way. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and this, much of that, and so on. So in some way, you're right. It's two different things, but I think it's one thing in the end, and that's love to God, and I think we're all a part of God.
Yeah.
And then it's love to yourself and every living being.
Yeah.
But I think me and you and the world is in a big developing process, and like in a relationship, you love your. I love my boyfriend, or you do the same. But sometimes there's fight, even though you love each other. And I think in some way it's the same in the world. But I think we really need to find out that the love is the enemy is not out there. It's in here, and work with your projections and work with our greed, and see that we are all part of the world, and we should share it in a good way, this beautiful planet. But I think it's a process, and I think we need to learn something and develop some things on the way, and I think so it is as it should be, because when you're really in a fight or whatever you are, then you really want to do anything for the peace or for the love. So it develops in you too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I think we have been around all these three things. It was really good. Thank you so much.
Okay.